soulmates, something that I work with people on, pulling together years and years of spiritual teachings and trainings. You know, in my 20s, I was all into Reiki. I was all into past life regression. I was recovering from Catholicism. I had ventured down the Buddhist path. I was studying Kabbalah mildly. I was in search for who I was. Who was this entity that was not this physical being, but who was the soul being? And oh my gosh, the trainings that I went through. Little did I know what I would compile from that and create from it. But soulmates was definitely a topic that came up in even my teen years. It was one of those things that, was just there. And that's where, I studied so many different things back then too. But the topic of soulmates, twin flames we hear. And often when people speak of twin flames, and for anybody who's a hardcore Christian listening to me, bear with me, okay? My translation of soulmates today is what we would translate to the one, okay? The one that we feel the most soul aligned with. The one that we are willing to define ourselves through. And often in relationship, especially in modern love and relationship, we're trying to find out who we are. We're trying to define ourselves, and we get focused on, you can't love another until you learn how to love yourself. You can't feel worthy until, in a relationship, until you know your own self-worth. You can't, and you will never achieve this in relationship until you achieve it outside of yourself first. Putting us into a situation where we are in constant belief that we are not good enough, and that we cannot look to relationship for definition. We cannot look to relationship for support. We cannot look to relationship for clarity of self, of who we are. That it is almost wrong to think that we're going to discover ourselves in the relationship. Well, this whole it's bullshit. I used to buy into that concept. And I have discovered over the course of great time working with thousands of people and in my own self-exploration and search for the self, that's bullshit. It's absolute, utter bullshit to think that we are going to find ourselves somewhere out there and be able to go to the depths of our inner realms without engaging in relationship, especially intimate relationship. So the concept behind soulmate in itself, from very many spiritual belief structures, is that we are a group of souls that make a commitment to come together and to do our soul work, our soul healing in this group community, to go through a life existence together, okay? And for the greatest good of all souls, which is the greatest good of the divine, of the creator, of the universe, of God, whatever you want to put in there, okay? Of source energy. And that source energy, God, can only experience life, physical life feeling, through the physical expression of life, which is our physical existence as human beings, okay? All right, simply put. Then we have this concept of twin flames. And I just had recently a couple come to me and say, we're twin flames, we're this, we're that. And there's a whole bunch. It's supposed to be heated, it's supposed to be passionate, it's supposed to be this relationship where you just are drawn to the other person and you can't get enough of them. Twin flames also bring up all your garbage, all your shadowlands, those dark repressed things that you've been trying to bury or you think you've worked through until you've met this other person, which makes the concept of twin flame relationship passionate in every sense of the word, positive and negative. There's more fighting, there's more constriction, there's more expansion, there's more love, there's more lust, there's more hatred, there's more jealousy, there's so much. But twin flame just means more. It's intense. Okay? Well, soulmate relationship. Twin flame can be a soulmate relationship because obviously it's another soul that is coming into play in your soul existence life experience. But then you have this soulmate relationship, and well, for the sake of and in my coaching and everything, what I help people do is to find that soulmate relationship. So here, what soulmate relationship is to me, and what I teach on, and what I try to help individuals discover, develop in their life. Soulmate relationship is that relationship that we are fully aligned in sync with. Fully meaning 70-75%, okay? There is no other human being on the planet that you're going to be 100% aligned to 100% of the time, okay? It's absolutely impossible. We have too many moving pieces inside ourselves to be 100% aligned 100% of the time. But those core values, the core way of the way we view life, how we choose to come together in relationship, that's what develops that soulmate relationship, blended with this drawing toward your partner. And when we are drawn in toward our partner, here's one of those pieces of, can you say that you know that this is your soulmate? Maybe you don't have the heat and the passion go in all directions like I just described with the twin flame. And, a lot of times in relationship, we think that we should be in this lustful, passionate thralls of love, or that everything should always be just groovy and yummy and juicy and perfect, and that conflict is a negative. Conflict is a clarifier. It is a builder. It allows us to truly discover who we are and to stand firm in who we are once we discover it. Okay? So, in soulmate relationships, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be all this kind of stuff. But what that soulmate relationship is that where we are drawn to that person. Now, we may not be constantly passionately drawn toward that person in a positive fashion, so lusting after them, craving to be with them all the time. But when we are drawn into our partner, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means that when we see our partner out there in the world and we see them radiant, we see them in this beautiful display of who they are, doing what they love, enjoying life, laughing, speaking, working. You don't hear often with men saying, oh, I'm drawn to her when she's playing with the kids, but you do hear from women, I'm drawn to him when I see him playing with the children, when I see compassion coming from him. I'm drawn to my partner when I see them, doing what they love, when they are in flow, when they are creative, when they feel confident, when they feel alive, when they are thriving, when they are problem solving. And here's the thing about that drawn in is that we typically feel it when there is a distance between us, okay? So a lack of a soulmate relationship can be that I'm just good with you, like, you just do you. You do you, and I'm good with you being completely away from me. I don't have that draw towards you. I don't have that missing sensation. I don't have this need, this desire to explore you at a deeper level, okay? That's one of the pieces of this is not your soulmate relationship. If you're really not giving a rat's end about what that other person is doing, then chances are that's not the aligned soulmate relationship that you might really be craving or looking for. There's not that drawing in, that desire to get to know. Okay? Another piece too, this is how you know it's not your soulmate relationship. Well, it's not your soulmate relationship if you're not willing to define yourself within the relationship. What does that mean? To define yourself in the relationship is, number one, to speak your truth. Number two, to try to view things in multiple different fashions within the relationship. So to realize that just because your past is your past over here, that you are not your past. You are who you choose to be today and moving forward. Your past defines you to a point, but then you still get to make decisions based on that. So you make good and wrong decisions back there, right? So what are you choosing now? How does this person ask you to level up, to show up in the relationship? Are you willing to level up, to show up, to improve yourself, to expand yourself, to potentially look at things from a different viewpoint than what you've just been trained into because of your life situation? A lot of the times we enter, well, not a lot of the times, 100% of the time, we enter a relationship with a hell of a lot of baggage. And some of it we just want to toss in the closet and never look at again. I hear over and over again, oh no, I don't want to talk about my past relationships with my present relationship. The past is the past. Let the past be in the past. We don't need to discuss the past. Well, yeah, you don't really need to focus in on the past, but you can learn a lot about yourself and about your partner by exploring the past. And if you're not willing to have the difficult conversations with this other person that you're proclaiming that you want to be in relationship with, potential partnership with, and those difficult conversations that can come up from your past, and speak about where you're at and who you are and what your goals are and what your desires are and how you see the relationship coming together, well then you're not willing to define who you are in this relationship. So that means just very clearly, it's probably not the right relationship for you, okay? Because it's not compromise. It is the ability to transform yourself into a better being, because that's what the relationship is wanting from you. You know, we hear the term a lot, a better you, a better me is a better us. Well, the better us, the entity of us, only occurs if each individual is willing to transform themselves into a better individual. Okay? It must happen. If that relationship is okay with you just sitting right where you're at, not asking you to expand, to grow, to transform, then that relationship is going nowhere. It's going absolutely nowhere. And that means that it is fleeting. It's not a relationship that is going to develop your soul expression. It's not going to expand you as an individual or do any amount of good for our world. Okay? Which is what soulmate relationship is supposed to do. It's supposed to elevate us as individuals, and in the elevation of us as individuals, when two come together in any one place of like minds, they elevate each other, and then that starts to create out this ripple effect. It impacts the children, it impacts your friends, it impacts the people that you're working with, your family, and it just works out. And just from an energetic perspective of the quantum field, which we are learning more and more of, that we have impact on our conscious reality. When we are becoming better individuals, then, and we have the reason for it because of this relationship, and we're willing to level up our lives and ourselves for it, then we do the world good. Okay? So, are you willing to define who you are in the relationship in a multitude of ways? Which means to literally, really clear out who you are and elevate yourself. Okay? Other piece, and something that I've been talking a lot about, that over any of you who have been following me on Facebook with the threads of comments, the conversation starters. Recently we've been talking about, you know, how do you know that it's more than friendship? Are you okay with your partner receiving a compliment? Does it matter how you feel if you are the person receiving a compliment? Does it matter how you feel about the person giving you the compliment? Well, despite what some people might think, it might think like, why is she asking all this stuff? What's the purpose behind it? The purpose is clarifying exactly, is this relationship that you might be in, or that you're looking at getting in, or you have been in, or the past relationships, to help you see, oh, that's why that didn't work, or this is why this is not working, this is why I have this feeling, this is how people tick, this is what the opposite sex thinks, this is what my potential partner thinks. Am I right in my thinking, or am I being completely self-centered? Is this my ego? Is this jealousy, insecurity, etc., etc.? Well, all of that right there, it speaks volumes about the relationship that you're in, okay? A soulmate relationship, much like I just said, it defines you, it clarifies you. Relationship is supposed to do that. We discover who we are by being in relationship, right? Started the whole thing with that. So if you discover who you are by being in relationship, because there is no way you're going to find out these pieces of yourself when you're not in relationship, right? You could think you know all this stuff all damn day long about relationship until you get into the relationship. It's like somebody who's never been married, and then they're trying to give advice to somebody that's been married for 20 years, that's going through 20-year challenges and dealing with this and that and all the different stuff. You have no concept of what that committed long-term relationship is like, what marriage is like, and the hurdles that come up, and the insecurities and the frustrations and the irritations in those conversations, unless you've actually been engaged in that intimate relationship of marriage, of unity, of bonding, like people who have been married for 20 years, right? I've been there, married, long-term relationships, short-term relationships, open relationships, monogamous, exclusive relationships, dating multiple people. I've had the whole gamut, the whole array of things. So when I come at you guys with different things, realize that I really am speaking from these moments in my history and in my timeline. And right now, what you're getting is Kendal that is exclusive, Kendal that is monogamous, Kendal that is madly in love with her man and planning out to the end of her days. So that energy, that focus is that soulmate. And here's what I can tell you about that. That's that clarifying agent, right? That clarifying agent, which is just, what is my intent behind anything? What is my intent behind anything? And this means either side of the spectrum, okay? So for any of you that are following the threads that are on my business page or on my personal profile on Facebook or in my newsletter that comes out to you, or the articles and stuff that I write, realize that what I'm asking here is to pay attention to your intention, okay? Of what is it that I am needing here? What is it that I am desiring here? If I met my soulmate today, would I desire this? Would I want this? Would I be okay with this? Would I be looking for it? How would I handle this situation if I was fulfilled in relationship? What would my reaction be? Okay? Because there's no really right or wrong at the end of the day. It's just where we're at. Okay? It's in our own learning process. But I can tell you that your reaction should be different when you are really solid and being fulfilled and having that soul-heart connection with another person at that level of intimacy than it would be if you know that this person that you're with just isn't fully in alignment, right? 70+%, that's fully in alignment. If that person is not fully in alignment at that soul level, if you are still needing in different ways. Now, this comes with a little caveat here, and I posted this somewhere along the line, but the caveat of that in today's modern world of love, we tend to believe that our significant other bears the load of all of our needs, of covering it all for us. And it's a really heavy load for two people to carry because it's on both sides, right? So we're trying to do that for our partner, and we're expecting that of our partner. And over the course of history of humankind, up until just recent time, what's really happened is that we used to get our needs met. And I'm not talking about our sexual needs, okay? I'm talking about connection needs, conversation, support in different ways. Today, we ask that all of that be covered by our significant other, our partner. In historic times, we had community. We had a closer knit family. We had, for us women, we had our sisters and our mothers, our friends and our daughters. And then we had our masculine, which was our husband, the father of our children, perhaps our father on the front side, or our brothers that would come in and help, right? So they provided that masculine strength and stability and the things that the masculine does for the feminine, which is all over the place. Because men and women, we operate different emotionally, physically, and even in our mental thinking processes. We are different creatures, okay? So, but we need each other. And in today's world, we take all of that and we put it just on one guy. And we say, okay, now he's got to be all of this for us. And he's going to be our best friend. And he's going to be our sister. And he's going to hold the emotional space for us. And he's going to hold the mental space and the spiritual space and the physical and be our safety and be this and be that. But, oh, he better not tell me what to do. He better not tell me what to do. That happens. And that's where it's a blended, messed up relating that we have going on, because we are shutting down what we need. Men, we similarly, we do the same thing. There's a lot of this outside world where it's just there is no longer a brotherhood of men that get together. Sure, guys get together and watch a football game, go to a hockey game, go play golf, go on a fishing thing, hunting. But there's not the camaraderie, the community of the masculine that there used to be. There's also nothing that supports the masculine to be positive. Masculine today is getting knocked down left and right across the board from so many sources. It's actually really terrifying. You could go on for days about it. But what we have is that we now have this relationship between man and woman where we are putting all of it on each other, and it is weighty and taxing and causing a multitude of issues within the relationship, because we don't understand that we need to have outside relationships, okay? But those relationships, and here's the thing, back to soulmate and how you know if it's not your soulmate relationship, is that those outside relationships, they need to respect, number one, the individual having them, number two, the individual that they are in relationship with, and number three, the entity of us, the relationship itself, which means that we have to dig in and we have to want to have the respect of the entity of us. It needs to be the primary focus point in truth. If we're not willing to make sure that the entity of us is respected, then it's saying this person that I'm saying I'm in relationship with, that I'm in love with, that I want to marry, that I want to date, that I want to whatever, that I don't value them at the level of making the entity of us the focus, the priority. Okay, I'm willing to let this relationship, which is this other person, be disrespected and be shunned, be talked down to, be pushed to the side. Their opinions, their ideas, their feelings, their past, their triggers, the things that they share, and it just doesn't matter. They need to understand how I feel because they need to be everything for me. That's what we end up doing when we get caught in this very self-centered, not selfish, that's a little bit different, self-centered relating with our partners. And that causes massive issues. Well, here's the thing. In a soulmate relationship, if you met your soulmate today, if you really could feel into that statement, you would put the entity of us as priority. It would be all that matters. And you would start to judge, to look at from a bigger scope how you're relating to the outside world, what these potential relationships that you have had that maybe you have comfort in that maybe you feel you need to hang on to. And ladies and guys alike, this can even relate to the people that you used to date that you're still friends with. Oh, we just follow each other on Facebook. Oh no, we just go out to lunch once a month. Oh no, we just text it and check in on each other. They're just friends. Well, question it. If you were being fulfilled, why do you have this back burner? Why are you reaching out in different ways to try to get these needs met? And the big ticket item is, are you really allowing or even encouraging a response or attention from that other person in a way to make you feel good about yourself? Because if you are, then there's multiple things going on there. Number one, maybe you're just having some self-esteem issues, some self-confidence, self-worth issues, insecurities in self, and you're needing that, right? So there's something that you need to do for you, which could be a whole gamut of things. Or your partner, and here's the thing, is it's actually always a two-way street. When we talk about cheating or affairs, it's always a two-way street. It's typically one person not feeling good about themselves, and then it is the other person who is just ignoring, disregarding, taking for granted, overly jealous, just really not being conscious in the relationship as well. Okay, which comes back to difficult conversations, which I think I've said a million times already on this live stream. But I'm going to encourage you to look at why am I needing this? Why am I accepting this? Why am I approving of this? Why am I desiring, looking for, encouraging these things? And it really comes back to relationship, but it can also come back to different personal things, right? Like your choice of, I've had people say, well, I just can't go to bed early, or I'm a night person and my partner is a morning person, and I just can't make this change here. Like, we're just going to be two ships passing. That's just the way it is. Well, that might seem like, okay, you can make that, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Well, 20 years down the road, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Just like our diets are big deals. The way our habits are around, how we live, what we're like in our home with our children, our temperaments, all of that is a really big deal, and we don't stop to think about it. Our spending habits, our work habits, all these different things really do play a role on relationship. And if you want to know if it's your soulmate relationship, all you really have to ever do is look at, how are you willing to develop yourself? And what kind of conversations are you willing to go into length and depth with this other person on, to make the entity of us a priority? And there you have it. Can you make the entity of us a priority? And where are you willing to go to do that? So, I feel like I talked a little bit about a circle there, so sorry for that, but that's what's coming up for me today. If you have not paid attention to my private Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, or my business page, there's some beautiful conversations around these topics about relationships, difficult conversations, jealousy, affairs, love, abandonment, you name it. You know what? The two things that really impact us human beings the most is our work and our love. These are the two things that we focus in on and we desire to have in harmony and happiness around. So as we move through, we have to realize that these are the things that we relate to and that we really truly desire to have good relationship with. So by putting the attention on the things that we really want to develop, that also means that we're willing to do the work, not just give it fluff, but to actually do the work to develop that happiness, that sustaining vitality and good feeling. And to realize that sometimes the good feelings only come with some really edgy, difficult conversations. Okay, on that note, I love you guys. I will catch you another day. If you are local to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, look on my events page for upcoming workshops. I have some beautiful workshops coming up for the rest of this year and entering 2022. Oh my God, we are almost there. It is almost there, a few months away. So we enter into fall. Explore those workshops. If you want help in how to really clarify, identify, and call in that soulmate relationship that you are so worthy of, reach out to me. I have some beautiful specials running for this fall to help you really create the relationship of your dreams. Whether you are in it or not, there is always room for the self-improvement for you to be able to identify yourself, clarify yourself, transform yourself, and create that magical relationship. I love you guys. As always, remember, stop existing, start living. It's time for you to call in that relationship. Love you guys.